Hi, I'm Graham Blackburn, and this is Traditional Woodworking with Hand Tools. And this is the first episode of two on rabbet planes, or is it rebate planes? So, one of the most common planes that the traditional woodworker has is a rabbet plane. And to the uninitiated, it might look like a molding plane. It's the same length, they're all about 9.5 inches long, but it differs from a molding plane in that it doesn't make a molding. It has a flat bottom, right? Uh, Molding planes, or real molding planes, actually make shapes. All this does is to make a rabbet. Now, I should point out before we get too more involved in this that in America, we tend to talk about rabbet planes or rebate planes. Why are there two words? Well, the word itself actually comes from the French rabattre, meaning to rebate or remove stuff. And in England, we tend to reserve that term for the financial sense. Whereas in America, we tend to talk about it being a rabbet plane, which is not the same as the animal. It's spelled R-A-B-B-E-T as opposed to R-A-B-B-I-T. So having got that out of the way, let's look at some rabbet planes and see how they're different, and then I'll show you how we use them. The first thing to notice, as I just said, is that rabbet planes have a square bottom. It's not a shape. All it's designed to do is to cut a rebate in the side of a piece of wood. The other thing that's different from a rabbet plane, between a rabbet plane and a molding plane, is that the rabbet plane, the shavings do not come up through the mouth like they do in a molding plane, but rather they come out through this nice circular hole, which makes the shavings come off the bench. Let me show you how that works. We'll take a rabbet plane, I'll hold it in here, and you can see that the shaving is actually coming out of the other side. Here's the shaving. That's called making the shaving come off the bench. The next thing that happens with a rabbet plane is that they come in a whole range of sizes. So here's a very narrow one, and up here I have a whole selection of different widths, and they sometimes get as wide as this one here too. It's convenient to use a rabbet plane that's as close to the width of the rabbet that you want. But you'll notice that none of these, on all of these, by the way, which I'm going to talk about, none of these, except for just one or two, have any depth stop. There's two things that define a rabbet. The first thing, if I can find my pencil, here's my pencil, is the width of the rabbet. So if I wanted to make a rabbet in this piece of wood, I would draw a line down here. I could do it with my pencil, and that marks the width of the rabbet. Or I could use a pencil gauge, and I could set it down here, and this will tell me the depth of the rabbet. So this is usually the first thing to do. You mark out the width of the rabbet and the depth of the rabbet. Now, with a little bit of practice, some workers are pretty good at using their fingers as a fence, and you can come along and you can plane pretty close to the line. No, I'm leaving a little extra space here, but you can see I've got a rabbet that's by no means straight. So for most people, that's not really any good. There are two solutions to that. First of all, you could clamp a piece of wood onto the side, and that will act as a depth stop. And then on larger rabbets, such as this one here, you could clamp a piece of wood on the sole, and that will determine the width. And in fact, you can often find when you look at old second-hand rabbit planes, you'll see that there are the remains of screw holes and nail holes where people have like tamped something in here. But anyway, the easiest thing is to first of all to mark out the width of the rabbit that you want. Make sure that the blade is sharp, and then using your fingers on this side, there's a fence, you can slowly take the rabbit, and after a while you'll find that the rabbit will actually bear against the fence that it's doing, and here we are making a really nice little rabbit. Right? Now, as I said, there are a whole range of sizes, ranging from small to very large. The other thing is that most rabbit planes are made with skewed blades, so that when you use it, it's only the leading part of the blade that starts the shaving. What that does is make it both easier to use the plane, and it also makes it easier to make a smooth cut across the grain, right? A skewed blade will give you a nice square cut without tearing the grain out. In this larger rabbit plane, because it's so big, it actually has another little blade in the front here, which if you start off by using this backwards, this will mark out the line that now the plane wants to go to. And so that's how that works. Now, besides the whole range of sizes and the fact that sometimes you need either to fix a stop or a guide to the workpiece, or you can fix something to the plane to control the depth and the width, there are a few other varieties. Here is an example of a ship rabbit plane that has a square blade. So this would not be a good plane to use if you wanted to go across the grain and totally avoid tear out. Here is an even longer plane. This is known as a ship rabbit plane. It also has a square blade. So if I had a really long piece of wood, I might tack a fence on here, or maybe a fence on the bottom, or maybe even attach something to the wood so I could bear the plane across. And this rabbit plane would be the perfect plane for a really long rabbit. Here is the ultimate rabbit plane. It's basically a rabbit plane with a square bottom and a skewed blade, but you'll notice it has an adjustable fence that will help you fix the actual width of the rabbit. It also has a depth stop, which controls the depth. So I can use this, I can use it on the same piece of wood here, and I don't have to think about anything. I'm automatically planing the width that I've set the bottom fence to, and as long as it keeps cutting, it will keep going down until I get to the depth. So it's not a very deep rabbit, but you can see I didn't have to use any stops or any fences or anything. This one is known as a fillister. Fillister is a unique Old English word that actually derives from the Latin meaning a little level, but a rabbit plane that has a depth stop and a fence is also known as a fillister. Now, we do all kinds of rabbits. Here is a very interesting rabbit plane. This happens to be a very old one, which I found at a flea market. It was made by a firm. If you look very closely, you can see the name. The makers usually stamp their name on the front. This is a Moxon. And Moxon was a plane maker who worked in London in a shop next to Thomas Chippendale, the famous 18th century furniture maker. But in any event, this has a curved bottom because not all furniture is rectilinear. If I wanted to make a rabbit here, for example, this would be the plane to make the rabbit here because it has a curved sole. So these planes come in a whole variety of things. Here's another one that doesn't have a fence. This is also known as a carriage maker's rabbit plane, but it has a curved sole, so it is also good for curved work like that. When you've done all of that, there are a couple of other planes that you should be aware of that are useful for trimming things. And this is a pair of what's known as side rabbit planes, because the cutting edge is not at the bottom, but it's at the side. So if I wanted to use this, for example, to trim up the side here, this would work along like this, and this would very nicely clean up the edge of the rabbit. There's one other kind of rabbit plane that you should be aware of, and this is a rather specialized one. This is a plane that actually does a couple of things. It puts the rabbit on the inside of a window frame, so the fence and the depth stop are on the other side. This is called a moving fillister, or some more properly a sash fillister. So there you have it. A rabbit plane is a plane designed to cut a groove, and the simplest one, you have to use some kind of stop. The more complicated ones, the more specialized ones, actually come with built-in depth stops and fences. But that's the first thing that you need to know if you're going to be in control of making rabbits, because in a subsequent episode, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be making a box that's no longer just a butt jointed box, but it's a step up. It's going to be a rabbited box. So I hope you find that interesting. Keep a lookout for these planes. They typically, when you find them in antique stores or flea markets, they tend to be not very expensive, because people who don't know think, oh, well, it's not very complicated, it can't be very expensive. But if you really want to know more, you should look at one of the books that I've written. This is called Woodworking Hand Tools, and I have a whole chapter on rabbit planes, all the different kinds, some of which we've mentioned here, and all the different things that they use and whatnot. And this you can buy from my website. So I hope you like all that. I hope that was interesting. I wish you a lot of luck. Don't forget to subscribe. By all means, feel free to write me with comments and questions, and look forward to making a rabbited box.